Welcome to Walking the Earth. Today we are in the Lumbini Sacred Garden in the Lumbini Terai of Nepal, just a few kilometers away from India. So here, this is in the Mahayana monastic zone of the complex, and there are a number of monasteries and temples all around us. So directly to my right, we've got a stupa. Now, right now we're in a French organized garden of French practitioners of Vajrayana or Tibetan Buddhism, from my understanding. And we've got a little stupa here. And then behind it, you'll notice a very colorful stupa from the Tibetan Vajrayana tradition. And this is, I'm not sure if this is Gelugpa or which school of Tibetan Buddhism this represents. I intend to go here next, but it's a very colorful and beautiful stupa above a temple. And then over here, as we go to the right, we've got a giant mango tree that's quite lovely and a lotus pond. And we've got a few lotuses blooming, a yellow lotus here in the foreground, and then pink lotuses further down. Straight ahead from me, we have a Singapore monastery associated with the Nyimapa tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. Nyimapa was the earliest school in Tibet, and is while they do have monastics, it's a strong lay tradition. It's associated with Guru Rinpoche, Guru Padmasambhava, who was from what's now in Pakistan. He was from north of Peshawar in the Swat Valley, and so this temple, although Singapore is Mahayana Buddhist and more like Pure Land, Tian Thai, Chan, this one is Nyingmapa for some reason. So I don't understand how that happened, but it's quite interesting. There are Tibetan practitioners in Singapore. There's some lovely flowering trees through here that I'm not aware of which family grouping they are. Like, here's a beautiful flower on this little bush. And then over to the right, beyond this Buddha statue in the fountain, there is a really beautiful monastery and temple complex that's part of the Nepal Vajrayana Mahavihar. Nepal has a very ancient Vajrayana tradition, and they helped to transmit Vajrayana Buddhism and the last flowerings of Indian Buddhism through Nepal into Tibet, and then beyond up into Mongolia and other areas. Now, if we continue around a little bit further, straight ahead, now you can't really see it very clearly, but you will notice an upturned building, upturned roof, and this is Vietnamese Mahayana Monastery. I went there yesterday and it looks pretty abandoned, at least what you can view from outside, and it was closed. And then they are building another Nepali monastic complex that is designed to resemble the Swayambhunath temple on the western edge of the Kathmandu, of Kathmandu itself. And then there is a Buddha statue that they are just working on currently in that area. And then to the right of it, there are a couple different complexes being worked on with the giant statue of baby Buddha when he was born. And then to the right of that, there's a Japanese temple that's unfinished and looks abandoned. There are a number of complexes that are either unfinished or look quite abandoned. Then we've got a Tibetan complex over here that's some type of a meditation center, and it's the monsoon season. So this is the rain retreats time, when Buddhists will spend a lot of time in intensive meditation traditionally. So they're doing some kind of long retreats in there, it appears. And then, of course, we come right back to the Tibetan complex. Now here, this stupa, this says it's the lotus blossom stupa of the Buddha's birth. So I'll go ahead and read it to you. When Lord Buddha, the peerless prince of the Shakyas, took birth on the 7th day of the 4th lunar month of the year in 563 BCE, in the auspicious Lumbini garden at Kapilavastu, his father, King Suddhodana, erected a stupa like this one, built by Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. My apologies for the mispronunciation. With the intent of providing a support for making prostrations, offerings, and circumambulations and consecrated by another Rinpoche in 2010. May this stupa become a supreme object of offering, liberating whoever sees it, touches it, hears of it, or remembers it. And then we have water offerings, 7 bowls of water offered to the stupa. So this is interesting. I'm not sure if there are any relics buried underneath the stupa within it. But I just wanted us to get a sense of this. And then there's a flower offering, it looks like. So go ahead and draw this one to a close. But I just wanted to give you a sense of the Mahayana section of this complex. So just quickly, before finalizing, the Mahayana is the biggest bulk of Buddhists in the world. So for instance, there are about 500 million Buddhists in the world, most of whom live in Japan, Korea, and China. Most of the Buddhists in other areas like Southeast Asia, apart from Vietnam, tend to be Theravada, so the southern school of Buddhism. Mahayana represents the northern school of Buddhism. And it is Mahayana, it means the greater vehicle, and includes a number of different schools, a couple major philosophical schools, including the Yogacarya school and the Madhyamika or middle path school. The Yogacarya is the mind only or Chittamatra school, the school of yoga. And then you also have a number of other schools associated, like Pure Land Buddhism, Shan and Zen Buddhism, which are the same school, Tian Tai, Tian Dai. We've also got the Flower Garland school out of China, which is a more Chinese school that has other Indian inputs. So there are a number of different schools within the Mahayana domain. And although the majority of Buddhists to this day are located within mainland China, it's questionable as to how many are actively practicing and identifying as Buddhist due to rules and regulations within CCP controlled territories, where it's questionable as to what extent they can practice freely, or how deep they're going into it. I've heard different stories. We do know that there had been a lot of persecutions and difficulty for Tibetan Buddhists in the Tibetan Plateau and in the surrounding regions like Sichuan, Yunnan. Now, I have heard that things have relaxed and it is much better for Buddhists now. But we also know that there are other purported persecutions of Muslims throughout at least the Turkic lands of China. And this is concerning. So as far as freedom of religion, it's uncertain to what extent this is actually occurring, the freedoms. Although there are massive building projects of Buddhist statues and temples. So anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit about the Mahayana. This sacred garden is divided up into several sections. You've got at the southernmost point, you've got the Mahamaya temple where Siddhartha Gautama was born. 2600, or I mean no, about 2600 years ago, in the year it's right here on the stupa, so it's 563 BCE. This is a debated date. Some people think that it was a little bit earlier, some think it was a little bit later. So I just wanted to share a little bit about this to give us a sense of, so the complex, we've got that at the southern end, and at the northern end you've got a crane sanctuary, and you've got the Japanese peace pagoda, the Shanti Stupa, which is quite beautiful. And then you've got a section dedicated to Mahayana temples and one section dedicated to Theravada temples and monasteries, including meditation centers. So these areas, and then in the middle there's also a research center and museum. And there are a number of buildings. It's still very much a work in progress. This place has tremendous potential. So it's a very interesting place to spend a day or two exploring. So I'll go ahead and draw this to a conclusion, but it's very much worthwhile if you're interested in comparative religion, if you're interested in different expressions of Buddhism, if you're interested in South Asian religiosity or Asian religiosity. This is a very interesting place to visit. So we'll go ahead and draw this to a close. Be happy.